You know that feeling, right? When you're totally stuck, just paralyzed by a tough choice where there's no clear, easy answer? Well, what if I told you the key to making way better decisions wasn't some fancy new app, but actually a brilliant idea from an 18th century French philosopher?
Just think about it for a second. You're trying to pick between, say, 3 job offers. One's got the amazing salary, but a killer commute. The other has the perfect team, but the pay is kind of meh. And the third, the role is a dream, but the industry, not so exciting. So what do? You make lists, you build these massive spreadsheets, and you just end up going in circles. It's total analysis paralysis. Okay, so this is where we need to flip the script. Instead of trying to assign some random number to something like team culture, what if we thought about it like a competition, a simple head-to-head election, where the best option proves itself by winning every single matchup?
Now, the way we usually try to solve these problems is by turning everything into a number. We fire up a spreadsheet and we start giving things scores. But this whole method, it's got some serious flaws. It actually forces our brains to work in a way that's not very natural at all.
So here's the problem with that spreadsheet method. It makes you assign these really precise scores. Is ease of use a 7 out of 10? Or is it an 8? I mean, what's the real difference? It's just exhausting to think about. But the election method, it just uses simple rankings. It doesn't ask, how much better is it? It just asks, which one's better? You just rank them. First, second, third. It's so much more intuitive.
And that brings us to the election. This whole idea comes from the Marquis de Condorcet, who figured out that the fairest winner of any vote is the one who could beat every other candidate in a simple one-on-one race. And we can take that exact same logic and apply it to our own decisions, big or small.
And that leads us to the key concept here, a condorcet winner. Now, this isn't about who gets the most first-place votes. No. It's about finding that one option that when you put it up against any other single option, it just wins every time. It's the undisputed champion.
So the whole framework is this really simple but powerful shift in how you see the problem. The things you care about, cost, quality, location, all that stuff, those become your voters. And the choices you're trying to make, vendor A, vendor B, job offer C, those are the candidates. Your only job is to be the election official and just count the votes.
All right, so let's see how this actually works. We're going to use a classic business problem right from our source material, choosing a new software vendor. Let's hold an election. So, here we are. Here are our voters and our candidates. The 4 criteria on the left, cost, ease of use, features, and support, they've each ranked the 3 vendors from their favorite to their least favorite. So for example, you can see the cost voter loves vendor C the most. But the features voter, they're all in on vendor A. The stage is set. Let the voting begin.
Okay, first matchup, vendor A versus vendor B. Let's count the votes. Looking at our rankings, ease of use and features both prefer vendor A. That's 2 votes for A. But cost and support both prefer vendor B, so that's 2 votes for B. And we start with a 2-2 tie. No winner in this round. All right, on to round 2, vendor A versus vendor C. Now this time, A pulls together a pretty strong coalition. Ease of use, features, and support all cast their vote for vendor A. It's only the cost criterion that prefers C. So, with a clear 3-1 majority, vendor A takes this round, no question about it. In our final matchup, we've got vendor B taking on vendor C. Features and support vote for B, but cost and ease of use vote for C. And what do you know? It's another 2-2 tie. So this leaves us in a really interesting spot. Vendor A beat C, but couldn't beat B, and nobody won all of their races.
And this, right here, is maybe the most fascinating thing about this whole method. It didn't fail us. Actually, it succeeded brilliantly. It showed us exactly why this decision is so tough, because there isn't one single option that dominates the others. A spreadsheet might have just spit out a winner by some tiny, meaningless fraction of a point and hidden this conflict. The Condorcet method puts the conflict front and center.
So let's break down what this all means. This method is incredibly powerful, for sure. But like any tool, it's really important to understand where it shines and, where its limits are.
The upsides here are huge. First, it's simple. You're just ranking things, not trying to invent scores out of thin air. It's also really robust. And maybe best of all, if you do find a winner, explaining why is super easy. You just say, hey, this option was preferred over every other choice when we compared them one-on-one. It just makes sense.
But yeah, there is a catch. The method's simplicity means you do lose a little bit of information. It doesn't tell you if one option won by a landslide or just barely squeaked by.
And as we just saw, you can end up in a situation known as the condorcet paradox, where there's just no clear winner at all.
So, at the end of the day, the condorcet method isn't some magic wand that makes hard decisions just disappear. What it is, though, is a really powerful way to bring some serious clarity to all that complexity.
Really, what the condorcet method helps you find is a consensus choice. It's a way to build agreement, whether that's just inside your own head or with your whole team, by breaking a huge, messy problem down into a series of simple, intuitive, one-on-one contests.
So think about that big decision that's been on your mind. You know, the job offers, the new car, the next project you're going to tackle. What would happen if you stopped trying to score it and instead you just put it to a vote? And you know what? You can try it for yourself right now. The folks who wrote the paper we've been walking through built this super simple interactive tool where you can plug in your own criteria, your own options, and run your very own election. Go find out which of your choices is the true head-to-head champion.